Darb Tees presents Rob and Steve's No Budget All Spoiler Review Show, Episode 2, The Bourne Legacy. Welcome to Episode 2, The Bourne Legacy. I feel like my review is going to be pretty similar to my review of Total Recall. I was pretty disappointed overall. The Bourne trilogy is probably my favorite action films, period. It's a great trilogy. I think it gets better with each movie. And so I can really appreciate what they were trying to do, running parallel storyline with the Bourne movies and kind of showing how what Jason Bourne did is affecting everything else. But I don't know, I just didn't care about the new characters. Well, let's start at the beginning of the movie. We're in Alaska, and there's really no forward momentum of plot for like the first 45 minutes of the movie. You're just kind of introduced to people and things without like context or without any real meaning. And I just kept, waiting for Liam Neeson to show up and start battling the wolves.
Battle the wolves.
Which led to one of the funniest scenes in the movie for me was Jeremy Renner wrestling a CG wolf, trying to get him to eat a tracking device. I thought it was hilarious.
See, I thought the special effects anyway, the wolves looked a little bit better than they did in the gray. But yeah, that scene, it's so difficult. Like you said, it's hard to compare this movie to the first three because the first three are so grounded in reality.
Yeah.
All it is spy genre. And it kind of pushes that line of science fiction, but this one more so than any of the other ones. Not just with the pills, but then Battle in the Wolves is like, it was painful to watch a couple of those scenes.
And later on in the movie, they take out all the agents by giving them this new yellow pill. I don't know why they didn't just send them the yellow pill in Alaska.
Because it was so much cooler to shoot a missile.
They had to just
and
launch
that guy.
missiles at them.
Because Aaron Cross, Jeremy Renner's character, would have just taken the pill.
Movie.
Never would have questioned it. Yeah. Roll credits.
Which, by the way, the damn pills. Be prepared for more shots of the pill locket than the locket from Spider-Man 3. Sandman. Seriously, it's like every 5 minutes they show this damn thing full of pills.
Well, they're showing how he's running out, you see.
Yeah.
Well, it provides, a timeline. Like, he has to get to the Philippines before he runs out.
You know what?
And so they're showing how much he has left, and he's down to, powder, and he's just...
It would have been more interesting, though, to see him deteriorating.
Physically,
physically
no,
breaking down.
I agree, I'm saying that's what they use to Showtime. I'm not saying it's the best way.
That leads me to just the story in general. What was so interesting about Bourne was you were with him figuring out what the program is, who he is. There was all these unanswered questions and mysteries. Jeremy Renner just knows. He just knows things. And all his only motivating factor throughout the movie is that he's a junkie and he needs to get his high. That's literally the movie. That's the entire plot of the movie. He needs to go get his drugs.
He doesn't want to be dumb again.
It's true.
I wouldn't want to be dumb.
You know what would have been more interesting, though? Set up something like Captain America, introduce this guy who's just kind of a measly, average Joe, and show what the program does to him, like Flowers for Algernon style. Show him gaining in intelligence, and then show that when he loses his medicine, he starts breaking down. Nope, none of that.
See, this is what I'm talking about, though, where it's pushing the line of science fiction. It's still rooted in science, and it's not quite pushing that fiction yet, where you're not seeing this completely different transformation, but you're just seeing, an enhancement. I mean, you're not really seeing that, because they don't ever show his character before the drug, but he explains because, it's not like it's a visual medium or anything where they can just show the change. But
that's a huge problem with the movie is the screenwriter wants to talk and talk and talk and explain everything and doesn't want to show.
Not nearly as bad as Dark Knight Rises, where it's just so hampered by exposition. I don't feel this even comes close to that. But yeah, it's like you said, like it was just very slow in the beginning, but there was a lot of transition between the Alaska scenes and then like this, whatever, the pharmaceutical
Norton being a
company.
dick.
Yeah, him being a dick, and then I feel what that allowed to do is instead of just jumping right into the plot, like the first 3 movies, you get your setup, you know who Jason Bourne is, and then you know like, oh, he just has amnesia, and go. This took some time. Because of the drugs, they had to set that up. Like, this movie wasn't just dropped into the Bourne universe. It was interwoven with the events that are going on, especially in Ultimatum. And so they needed to take that time to introduce this drug, this completely different concept in that universe. And what that allowed them to do was slow down for a minute and really develop Rachel Weisz's character, who I really liked. And I really thought she was way more developed than any of the female characters in any of the previous Bourne movies. And she was just much more likable, and it just continues to develop throughout up until the point where they're on the climactic chase scene, and she's not just a passenger, she's helping him engage and battle this other agent, and, you know, has her moment, kicks him off the bike.
That's a good point. It's almost like starting a new season of a TV show or something. Like, they had to kind of hit restart and add all these other new characters and plot. But because you care about her so much, actually led to one of the most effective scenes in a movie this year, the massacre at the lab.
Yeah.
That was intense.
Yeah, see, you wouldn't have cared as much. Like, I don't care who she is, shoot her too. But since you took the time at the beginning to establish her character, that was intense, because you really were worried about her. Like, oh god, is she gonna get out of there?
It was like the scene from Faster, you know, The Rock just showing up at the workplace and just blasting
like fools. These movies are so set in a realistic setting that it's brutal. Like, this guy is just blasting people in a lab, and it's like, wow, this is really shocking.
And PG-13. Yeah, apparently,
they can get away with it.
Well, anything else you wanted to touch on? I mean, I think Jeremy Renner did a good job overall. His character is not as interesting, but I think as an actor, he handled himself pretty well. Like, the fight scenes, there weren't that many, but I thought they were.
I just think it's interesting that there's 3 different directors throughout this series.
Is it the same director as the first one, or is it a different one?
Gilroy. I know he wrote the screenplay for, I think, all of them.
Okay.
I don't know if he directed. I know the last Ultimatum and Supremacy were Greengrass.
See, we don't know everything, people. We usually just look at Wikipedia.
Yeah, just bring that up. But I just find it interesting. It had all these different directors, and yet they film the fight scenes so similarly.
Yeah.
Like, quick edits, lots of cuts. You get the setup for the punch, and then you see the result, but you rarely see it connect. And there's just a lot of that. Like, the fight scenes are good, they're entertaining, again, realistic, but not as good as
at least with all the fighting that Rob and I do on the weekends. It's about the same. We read books and pens,
utilizing
the environment. Yeah.
I think other than that, the only other thing I can mention is the pacing. Like, the other 3, there's the big payoff at the end. He has his chase scene, and then he defeats the other agent in all 3 movies. But then there's a payoff at the end. You see how those events have affected global events and his personal life. But in this one, it was like he defeated the baddie. There was the chase scene,
which he didn't get the defeat him hand in hand.
Just not really. No,
got a little kick,
and then he was done.
And then
Rachel Weisz
CG crash
took him out. Yeah, that didn't look that good.
No, that did not.
But then there just wasn't a payoff. There wasn't like a resolution. Basically, it was just like you said. Jason Bourne was just kind of overshadowing this movie.
Yeah.
It was just, the events that Aaron Cross just did, doesn't matter.
Didn't advance much of anything.
Jason Bourne, remember Ultimatum? Yeah, those events, those are still affecting what's going on.
Ultimately
they're just on a boat.
Doesn't matter. That's ultimately the biggest problem with this movie is it wasn't confident enough to stand on its own. So from the opening shot, which just replicates the first Bourne movie, to having the goddamn Moby song at the end. I swear Moby, the royalties he's made, have paid his bills for the past decade.
When's the last time he released an album? He's just living off of
and they needed to just do their own thing and not worry so much about Bourne. So overall, for me, a resounding meh. I'm
gonna have to go a little bit higher.
A little higher. Okay. And there you have it. Join us next week for, I believe, The Expendables 2, which I heard for Expendables 3, they're trying to get Nick Cage, Harrison Ford, and Clint Eastwood. So we'll see you then.